All right, Shalom. We're just going to pick up where we left off in the last lesson. If you want to watch the first one, just type in the YouTube bar, The Curse of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse part 1. Um, I mean, Deuteronomy, chapter 28, part 1, Salakia. I'll start off where we left off at the last lesson. Um, let's see. Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hands. Yeah, and this is talking about a couple things. Because back when we were in bondage in Babylon, which is America, um, during the good old slavery days, they take your children from you. They would separate the families, man. Okay, well, you can't see your children, and your children would be sold off to other slave owners, man. Okay, and that's what they do to our people, man. Okay, not just that, they would sell, say for example, if you have two children, right, a brother and a sister, they'll sell the daughter to this family and then the son to this family, so you never end up seeing your children again, man. And that's some of the wickedness that Esau, so-called white man, did to our people back in the 1600s, leading up to the 1800s here in Babylon, which is America. Okay, and you still have this today, man. Okay, this man, the so-called white man, he can take your children from you today. Okay, what is it called? Child Protective Services. Okay, they can, if they get a complaint from somebody about, say for example, they claim that you beat your children. Well, let's say this, man. According to the holy book, as scriptures speak about, a man shall not spare his son from the rod. Okay, now what is the rod? In this society, you have people, they'll spank their children either with their hand or with a belt. And that's supported in the scriptures. Okay? Now, I'm not saying the scriptures tell you be not a lion in your household. Okay? So you're not just supposed to be, just for fun or whatever to, beat your wife and children. No, that's going off. That's completely wicked. Okay? But if your child does something wrong, say for example, they steal a piece of candy from the store because they think it's fun. Well, they're supposed to get disciplined for that. Okay, you hit your children. Okay, with it says a rod, which in the ancient world, yeah, even in school, man, even in school, sometimes a teacher will hit your hand with a what's it called, a a ruler, right, or a yardstick. um, the scriptures even tell you in the book of, I believe it's Leviticus, the 21st chapter. It might be Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter. But scriptures say if a man has a stubborn and a rebellious son, who basically is just lazy, he does not want to work, and disrespects his parents, then you're going to go put his ass to death. You can't do that in this society, because if you do, you ass get put to death for manslaughter. Okay, so it shows you America is just a wicked ass country, okay, which must be destroyed, says so the scriptures. Okay? But yeah, according to the scriptures, that's what it says. Okay, but yeah, they'll still take your children from you to this very day, man. Okay? So we're still under all these curses. These curses have never went away. Okay, these curses are going to go away once the kingdom comes, which has not yet happened. Okay? The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away. And thou shalt be made, or Slakia, and thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that can't be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. And Yahweh shall bring thee and thy kings with thee, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which thou nor thy fathers have known. And there thou shalt serve their gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among the nations, wherever the Lord thy God leads thee. And thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and thou shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coast, but thou thyself shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olives shall be cast his fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Oh, man. And again, we already went over that. Okay, in slavery, they take your children and they sell your children to other families. But in this day, in this current age, that's still going on. As I said, you got the child protective services, but also you have schooling, which is mandatory that you send your child to be indoctrinated by the so-called white man, okay, in his schooling system. Okay, I quoted it again. Isaiah 10:1, deaf unto them who decree unrighteous laws. Psalms 94:20, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, those who frame mischief by a law? Yeah, so this modern day schooling is bullshit, man. Okay, and the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai is not with this modern day schooling. Okay, this is wickedness, man. A child is not supposed to go sit in a classroom for 7-8 hours a day, man. Okay, a child is supposed to work. Okay, now I'm not saying a child's supposed to work a 9 to 5. That I'm not saying that at all. Okay, but the scriptures clearly tell you that children are known by their works. Okay, a child is not supposed to just be playing around all day, man. Okay, that's not how children are. Okay, for example, look up how Spartans raised their children, man. Okay, from about 7 years old, they would be taken from the household and basically raised to be warriors, man. Okay, that's how the Spartans became such a great civilization, okay, and such a great army, okay? It's because they trained their children when they were young. Even in Hebrew culture, okay, when you're 12 years old, which is when you become a man, okay, you would start training with a sword, okay? So now in about, say, 8 years, 9 years, you'd be ready for the military. And you'd be handy with a sword because basically you studied, or I should say you practiced with it for about 8 years. Okay? It's just what happened. Okay? And it just makes sense. Anyway. All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt become very low. And he shall lend unto thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be thy head, and thou shalt be the tail. Yeah, and that's how it is in this society, man. Okay? For example, let's say for an example, these loans, okay, these companies like you got, certain banks will give you loans. You got Amscot, and all these, other places that will give you loans. However, there are catches. Okay, we'll give you $2,000, but you got to give us $4,000 back. That's the catch. Okay, the scriptures speak about lending somebody money, but adding usury into it. Okay, the scriptures look down upon it because it says, why would you give your brother money to help him out of the situation he's in, but you're just going to get him into an even worse situation because now he got to pay you back double what you lent him. Okay, and that's what America's based off of. Okay, they make it look like it's so wonderful, like everybody thought America was paved with gold. But when they come here, they see how much of goddamn bullshit this country is. Okay, because America is falling, man. America, it truly is falling. It's falling economically. Okay, it's not physically falling yet, but it is falling. Okay, look at the homeless population in America. There's nearly over 500,000 homeless people, man. And why is that? Why is that? It's very simple, man. Because that's the design. Okay, that's what this man wants. Okay, because this man's the devil, is what it is. Okay? Anyway. It says, verse 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and the statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou showedest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. Yeah, and he has put a yoke of iron upon our necks. All right, now today it's not a physical iron like it was a couple hundred years ago, but they put you in financial bondage and struggle, man. Okay, that's a form of bondage. Okay, that is a form of bondage, and that's how they created the society, man. Okay, is to have us all in bondage and servitude to them. That's how this society was built. Okay, this society, America, was built off the blacks of you Israelites, you blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. That's just how it is, man. Okay, we were the ones who built this nation. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth. Nations whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land. And thou shalt be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee, either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kine, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. Let's see. Not going to get it all for the sake of time. 54. So that the man that is tender among you, and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward his wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege, and straightness whereof thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will Yahweh bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. One of the things that is not written in the law of the scriptures is HIV, as I mentioned in the last video. Okay, and that's rampant amongst our people, man. Okay, so just off that alone, even cancer. Okay, even cancer is not written in the book of the law. Okay, because these are new things in the earth. Okay, and they're wild amongst our people, man. Okay. Let's see. 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall be hung in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. Yeah, and in this society, man, you don't have any assurance of anything. You constantly are stressed about how you're going to be able to pay this next bill, about what, you're going to feed your children the next couple days. What happens if, an unexpected bill comes through? What happens if you lose your job? All these things, and that's just little things, man. Well, not necessarily little things, but those are just a couple things, would be a better pronunciation. Those are just a couple things off of what you have to deal with, man. Okay, the good scripture on that would be the book of Psalms, the 73rd chapter. Okay, speaks about the higher ups of the society, man. It says they are not in trouble as other men. Yeah, they're not in trouble as we are. All right? And in the morning thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were even. And at evening thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherein thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord thy God shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way I spoke unto thee, and thou shalt see it no more again. And that thee shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Yeah. And what is that Egypt? That Egypt is talking about America. What is that? Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. For their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. Okay? So that Egypt is talking about America, which proves that we are the Israelites. Okay, the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and confusion to face Israelites. Okay, but anyway, once again, I advise you read the whole chapter yourself to get a proper understanding for yourself. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to say shalom.